Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney and today I want to show you guys my 1 month 1 palette challenge. So previously I did a palette throwback with my ColourPop and Kathleen Light's Dream Street palette, and when I did that video it really inspired me to want to use that palette more, but I was using my Shop My Stash items, and so I put that back into my collection and didn't really use it any other time but that one time for that video. So in all of that being said, when I was thinking about doing another palette throwback, I really decided like using a palette once really makes me want to use that palette again and again and again. And so how is that feasible in my everyday routine so that I can get use out of my products, but I'm not using say one palette for the whole year? So I was looking on YouTube, and of course I saw the 1 month 1 palette challenge, and I thought that would be a great idea because I have so many palettes in my collection that it's a great way to get use out of all my palettes throughout the years and enjoy each one, but still rotate through my collection and not just be stagnant on one palette. So with all that being said, before we get into it, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you like these videos. That way you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and let's just get into it. So I picked a pretty basic palette for my first 1 month 1 palette challenge. It is fall, and here in southern Louisiana it is definitely getting colder. So I decided to go with my ABH Modern Renaissance palette. I've had this palette for a very long time, and I feel like I've gotten quite a bit of use out of it, but to look at it, you only see minimal usage. So even though in my mind, I'm like, I've used that palette so many times, the progress doesn't show. So I'm going to give you guys a look at what this palette looks like as we're starting this 1 month 1 palette. Here's what the palette looks like, and I'm going to go in and show you guys a close-up of kind of each shadow. And so as you can tell, there's not a ton of progress. There's no pan. There's just minimal progress in this palette. So I thought that this palette would be great for the fall season, to start the fall season. So what I think I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to show you guys an eye look right now. And of course, I'm going to be using it throughout the month. But I'm going to, I think, film a different specific eye look every single week to show you guys like what you could do with this palette. Even though I'm sure everybody has already learned and used this palette quite a bit. Maybe there are some of you out there who have this palette and have used it a little bit, but like me, don't really have any progress and maybe get stuck on certain colors. So that's what I'm gonna do. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm rambling. It's been like a week since I filmed anything, so I just feel like I'm a little out of it, and I'm still recovering from being sick and Halloween, and it's just been crazy. So I hope you guys, speaking of that, I hope you guys all had a great Halloween. We had a good one. It was warm almost every single day of October until Halloween night. It got down into like, and this is gonna sound crazy to some of y'all, but it was like in the 40s. And we were freezing, like so bundled up. My oldest son was dressed up as Wolverine, and we walked outside. And of course I had him in long sleeves and pants underneath his costume. And we walked outside and he said, "Mommy, I'm freezing." And we had to go inside, and he got on a scarf and gloves, and it was crazy. So hope you guys had a great Halloween. We did. We just went up and down our street for about an hour and then came back and it was done. So anyway, back into this palette challenge. So as you can tell, I already have my face makeup done, my eyebrows, and my eyes are primed and prepped for this shadow. Okay, so I hope that doesn't bother y'all too much. I had to turn off my backlight because it reflects, it's the light in my, it's just the normal light in my room, but it reflects in my mirror. So, and it gets like this weird reflection all over my face. I'm sure y'all seen it in other videos because it has definitely happened, but I hope that doesn't distract y'all too much that it's so dark back there. But anyway, hopefully y'all can just see the eye look. So we're gonna go in, I don't know, today, what do I want to do? I definitely want to do, I think, some of these cooler tones because it's just so fall here, and berries, and I just think that's so pretty. So let's see. I'm going to first go in with Bon Fresco. This one right here, this like taupey, pinky, grayish color. And I'm going to put that into the transition of my crease. And I know that the life shelf of this palette says 6 months. I've had mine for way longer than that, And I know I've seen other people say like, oh, the palette goes bad, the colors don't work as well. I have not had any issues with like the quality of my palette. Oh, let me zoom you guys in a little bit. I have not had any issues with the quality of my palette and the blendability of the colors or anything like that. So I don't know if it's like someone maybe who uses it a lot, like now that I'm going to be using it for an entire month straight, am I going to notice that the shadows just aren't performing as well? I don't know, but I mean, hopefully not. But as of now, I have not had any issues. And I think that I got this palette, I don't know what, this palette came out in 2015, I think. I didn't get it right away. I got this palette at least a year after it came out, to 2016, but I'm really thinking maybe late 2016, early 2017. So still I've had this palette for way over six months, like 3 years. I don't see any issues with the shadows, so, which is good for me. I think for powder products, you shouldn't see issues with your powder products as long as you're keeping them clean and sanitized and all that good stuff. I know formulas can change, but powder products are usually pretty legit as far as staying good for a long time. Okay, so next I'm going to dip into Love Letter and Venetian Red, and I'm going to take both of those and put them on the outer corner. So for any of you who have this palette, are y'all getting use out of it, or did y'all like use it when it was crazy popular and then stop using it? I got it kind of not after the hype was over, but definitely after the initial hype. Like, it was so hyped up and I just waited to get it. I'm not really sure why. It wasn't like for a particular reason. I just I don't know, I just waited. So I definitely used this, I thought, quite a bit, but like I said, it just doesn't show much progress. I mean, eyeshadows take forever to use, and it just, no matter how many times I use it, unless I'm doing the same look every single day, it just doesn't translate in progress. So hopefully now that I'm going to be using this palette for the entire month of November, I can get some really great progress out of it. And see, like, the pigmentation and everything on these shadows is still beautiful. I don't have any issues. Now, the only thing that I do notice, and I can't remember because it has been a while since I've used this palette, is that the shadows are very dusty. Not dusty, that's not quite the right word. They're very fallout. There's a lot of fallout. My God, I couldn't get that out. So I don't know. I feel like that's something that has come later. Like, I don't feel like they were as I don't feel like they had as much fallout earlier on, but now I feel like they definitely have quite a bit of fallout every time I use it. And I'm the type of person that when I tap my brushes, okay, so y'all can tell me too, like when I dip into a product, I tap it back into the palette. Like I tap it back into the pan so that way I can use that fallout as product. I don't just tap it like on my floor or like on my desk, on my vanity. I tap it back into the pan so that way I can use it. Is that weird? Is that something that y'all do? Because, like, I don't want to waste the product. Yes, I want to use it. I want to get use out of it and, like, show progress. But I'm not just fluffing that product onto the ground or somewhere into the air because I want to use that product. So I always kind of tap back into the pan so that way I'm using that product. That sounds weird saying it out loud, but because I always see everyone tap their brushes on their mirrors or somewhere else, and like they're not using that fallout product. I like to use mine. Anyway, with that original brush with Bon Fresco, I'm not taking any other product on it. I'm just going to buff out these edges. I'm going to go into the lower lash line. I'm going to take more of that Venetian Red than the Love Letter because I want it to be a little bit darker. I'm only going to take that about half the way in. And with my brush with Bon Fresco, I'm going to tap in lightly and just buff out. And I'm going to take it all the way to the inner corner because it just brings a little bit of pigment to the inner corner without actually putting a ton of product there. Okay, so staying with this palette, I still want to get use out of my Project Pan items, so I'm going to go in with the Sephora Jumbo Eye Pencil as my base for my lid color. And this really does just help with the opacity of the shimmer shades. And it helps to grip them and have them last all day. I don't find that this beige shade in particular affects the shadow shade much at all. And I'm going to go in keeping it cool toned with Vermeer right here. That's the more pinky icy tone color. I have a little bit of hard pan on that shade because I wet my brush and then dip it in. So it's not only hard pan, but it's like that wet film kind of on top of it. But I find that the shadow still works perfectly fine. And I do kind of pressing motions and then like press and drag motions over that pencil. The opacity is just, it's so shimmery. And then I'll take a little bit on the edge where I didn't have any of that shadow stick and kind of blend it into the darker colors. Of course, I'm going to go back over that with the dark colors to blend as well. I mean, look at that. The pigmentation of these shadows is just like crazy. It's so good. So I'm going to take my small brush back into Love Letter and Venetian Red and blend up these edges. For my inner corner and brow bone highlight, I'm going to go into Tempera. I really wish that that shade would have been more of a matte so that it could be used as a lid, all over lid shade, but it does have a slight shimmer to it, like a very slight sheen. So I don't really like using it as an all over shadow. It's got such like it's like a satiny finish. Works well for highlighting the inner corner and brow bone, like a subtle highlight, but I thought I was going to be able to go through that shade a lot quicker because I thought I was going to be able to use it all over my lid, but that's just not the case. And sometimes when I have such a bright or vibrant, like shimmery lid color, I like to go in with something a little more subtle on my brow bone and my inner corner, but I may pop that inner corner with my highlight as well, we'll see. That's going to be it for this eye look. I'm going to go ahead and finish up my makeup and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so here's the finished look. How do you like it? I'm just going to run through quickly and show you guys what I use so that way if you have any questions, you'll know. So for my blush, I went in with one of my Pan That palette items for 2019. This is my Tarte blush palette and I went in with the shade Fetching right here. I just thought that it was a beautiful complement to the eye look and it worked really well. So I think I'm going to get a ton of use out of this blush palette this month because it's going to work great with that Modern Renaissance palette. I can just see it. It's so beautiful. And then when I was looking for highlight, I was like, oh, it's so icy and pink. And I looked at my collection and I pulled out this mini Ofra highlight in the shade Pillow Talk. And it's this beautiful pinky shimmery icy highlight. It's gorgeous, and so I just think that that went perfectly with this look. And I did also touch it on my inner corners as well, and I just I love it. For mascara, you all probably know, but I went in with a combination of my Sephora and my NARS Climax on the top lashes and then my Rimmel Lash Accelerator on the bottom lashes, and I just think that is a beautiful combination when I'm not wearing false lashes. And then finally on my lips, I went in with this Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in the shade Rebel Rose, and I just thought that that was a really good compliment. Oh, I did use a lip liner for my Project Pan. This is the natural lip liner from e.l.f. and to line my lips, and then went in with that Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in Rebel Rose. So this is the finished look. I really like it. I love the way that these eyeshadows look. I'm gonna just zoom in real quick so that way you guys can see the blend on the eyeshadow. And you can see it's not patchy, it's just beautiful. And I'm really happy. I'm really glad that I'm pulling this palette out to use it. Hopefully I can get a ton of progress with this palette this month. And I did take an intro picture so that way y'all will be able to see the progress from the intro of the palette to the last day of the month. So see how much progress I can get out of this palette in 1 month. And if you guys do any palette challenges or any use up challenges, anything like that, let me know because I love watching people use their products. And if you have any eye looks, let me know as well with this palette because I can see it getting pretty monotonous just doing warm tones, doing cool tones. So I'm gonna try and be adventurous, but I know that on my day-to-day when I'm in a rush in the morning getting ready, I'm gonna have go-to looks from this palette, and that's fine as long as I'm getting usage out of it. So one last look at the palette just to show you guys what it looks like. A couple of dips in these shimmer shades, a couple of dips in some of these matte shades, but really nothing to write home about. There's not a ton of progress at all. So by the end of this challenge, fingers crossed, there will be some progress. Okay, let me stop rambling and get you guys out of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you subscribe, check out all my future videos, and I really appreciate it. See y'all in the next one. Bye.